Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, as we read letters from the voyages of St. Frances Cabrini as she traveled around the Western Hemisphere sharing the good news of Christ. Hello, Catholic pilgrims, and welcome back. Today we will read the second half of the letter for this voyage. Remember, this is just one long letter for the Buenos Aires trip to Barcelona. Since we will finish this letter today, I'll be giving my reflection once we are done. Let's open to page 199 and start where it says, "We had no sooner left." We had no sooner left Buenos Aires than a shaft of most luminous rays, the brightness of which outshone those of the sun, shot forth from the heavens and descended and encompassed us during the rest of the voyage until we reached the sanctuary, where the wonderful Virgin of Luján dispenses her ineffable treasures of grace and blessings. This was a sign from Our Lady to show us how visibly we enjoy her special protection. Oh, how good and amiable is Mary! She is a most propitious morning star. She is the inspiring guide of all our enterprises, and for this reason, the missionary sisters of the Sacred Heart should fear nothing. Our great Mother and Foundress is near God, even united with God. Hence, she can do all, wish all, obtain all from God. Oh, the greatness of Mary! She has been constituted the fount of all graces, the sure channel of divine mercy, the ladder to heaven, the gate of paradise. Mary, O children, is that mystical holy mountain, that mountain adorned by the Holy Ghost, that mountain from the summit of which springs the source of the clearest water, dividing itself into infinite streams, which water the whole world. Therefore, our houses, our works are absolutely secure in the hands of Mary, as long as we show her faith, invoke her, and imitate her virtues, as true missionaries should do. If you desire to convert the whole world, invoke Mary, for she is that bright cloud, as seen by the prophet Elijah, rising from the sea, gradually spreading over the whole heavens, and then breaking into rainfalls on every part of the earth, so that it covers even the remotest inhabitants of the globe. Yes, you can do everything with Mary. She extirpates heresy, eradicates schisms, and destroys idols. She causes our holy faith to triumph everywhere and increases and spreads the fold of Christ, which her mystic waters irrigate and fructify. Confide everything to her, then. Do everything under her auspices, and do not leave her for one moment. Invoke her always, and she will cleanse your hearts and make them worthy of your high vocation. In the meantime, our journey continues pleasant. It's wonderful. We hardly notice the movement of the boat, the sea being so placid and tranquil. I cannot write much, as the passengers are so good and don't leave us for a moment. Sometimes with the little angel, the postulant, who accompanies me, I am able to withdraw to some quiet corner to pray, but we never have time to finish the rosary before we have a crowd around us. We cannot find a place in which to hide ourselves. You will have patience with me, then, if you find this epistle is short. I have become a professor of modern languages, for I am giving a lesson a day to the President's sister-in-law, Mrs. Tezanos Pinto de Craceres, who is anxious to speak Italian well by the time she reaches Italy, and especially Rome, where her husband is engaged in the Peru legation. At table near the captain sits a great literary man, a Neapolitan, and the conversation naturally falls on history, literature, and science, etc. When the Neapolitan goes beyond the line, I keep silent for a moment, and then, with kindness and firmness, I affirm the truth. Slowly, without his noticing it, I induce him to approve what is right according to the standard of truth, justice, and the will of God, and to acknowledge that real happiness is to be found in good alone, according to the dictates of our holy religion. One day he asserted that in order to become converted to better things, he would have to suffocate and extinguish the whole ardor of his soul and the vehemence of his human passions, and so would have to reduce himself to the condition of a mountain of ice, indifferent to all things, even the most beautiful and great. I pointed out to him that the flames of human passions which always leave a void and a sense of disillusion, become changed into celestial flames through grace, and that the supernatural light of heaven, once let into the soul, grows so wonderfully that the human passions become a volcano of divine love, a real fire that nobody can extinguish as long as goodwill remains in the soul. Have we not had the brightest examples in this direction? An Augustine, a Magdalene? Did they become mountains of ice after their conversion? Quite the contrary. We should never have had these prodigies of conversion and marvelous holiness if they had not changed the flames of human passion into volcanoes of immense love of God. But the present generation is too miserable and unfortunate. It studies everything but religion, and meanwhile runs with the velocity of a train towards a ruinous precipice. O dear Jesus, what terrible ruin! But in thy mercy turn not thy face away from us. Arise, great giant of love, arise, O my beloved. Come into the field of the missions of thy beloved spouses who desire to bring into thy kingdom every human soul. Come, we wait, desire and sigh for thee. Come, refulgent sun, with thy bright and vivid rays, that they may brighten the earth enveloped in dense darkness. O Jesus, the desired of ages, love all on fire for thy children, hasten and give life to those who are sitting in the darkness of death. Through thy most holy heart, heal the gaping, bleeding wounds of sick humanity. We, thy missionaries, turn our eyes and our hearts always towards thy divine heart, and, if thou willest, all those confided to our care will be saved. Yes, if thou wish it, it can be done, for thy very name indicates salvation, grace, unction, and love. The more I invoke thy sweet name, the more I find it dear, sweet, and amiable. Thou art my life, my all. Console then her who loves thee. Console thy poor servant and save, yes, save this sick generation, which you have trusted to us. Look upon those souls whom thou hast redeemed with thy precious blood. Look upon them with love and mercy. Wound them with the darts of thy burning charity. Warm and transform all in thee. Having passed the equatorial line, we reached Penedo de San Pedro, which is a rock of considerable size, after a 4-hour journey. It presents a very pretty spectacle with its slender points. Seen at sunset, it looks like a pretty sailing city, and my companion asked me if there was any likelihood of our going there some day to establish a mission. I asked her if she wanted to convert the birds, which are the only created things that find an asylum there. But she thought that if ever we went there, we would find someone to convert. Well, of course, she wants to convert the whole world, and in the fervor of her desire appears to have the faith of Abraham, who merited to see his spiritual children multiply like the sands of the sea. Between one thing and another, we have reached the Canary Islands, stopping at Las Palmas. There is a beautiful gulf, and the city presents an enchanting sight. We arrived at 6 a.m. on the 23rd, and, as it was Sunday, we arose at once so as to be able to go ashore for Holy Mass and to have the happiness of receiving Holy Communion. In fact, the medical inspection on this occasion did not detain us long, and Captain Boccacelli, who does everything he can for us, gave us sufficient time to satisfy our desires. At 6:30 we were descending the gangway, and we took the first boat that came. The 4 priests who were on board, seeing us so early astir, took courage and came along in our boat. In about 10 minutes we reached the shore and took one of the primitive carriages with a small lean horse, so lean that my companion asked if it was a donkey, and expressed the fear that it would not be able to carry all 6 of us, especially as the weight of one of the Franciscan fathers was equal to that of 3 of us. But we very soon found that the horse was strong and fast, for it galloped off at great speed to the church of Los Padrecitos, the Servants of Mary, which is a very pretty church, where we heard Mass and received Holy Communion. We then got into our carriage again, and very rapidly completed the whole of the trip, passing en route through the market, in order to show off, as it were, our new carriage. We visited the Lazarist Fathers, who opened a house here 3 years ago. One of the priests with us was a Lazarist. They received us with great kindness, and at breakfast gave us the first grapes of this year, 1896. It was a pleasant surprise to us, because when we left Buenos Aires, it was quite winter. We visited the cathedral, the architecture of which we greatly admired, as well as its riches, for the country is comparatively poor. The altar is noteworthy for its table of finest silver and lamp of great value. These inhabitants are very fortunate indeed, for in their midst religion triumphs. Having paid all our visits, we returned to the boat and were conveyed to the steamer. It had been amusing to note the ingenuity of my companion. As soon as she arose in the morning, she asked me what the mounds of earth were and wondered how they could remain straight without falling down. She wanted to know the cause of the different colors, why the houses were built on the tops of the mountains, and averred she would never ascend to visit these houses. You may imagine her bewilderment when the horse conveyed us to one of these small houses situated at such a height. As we journeyed along a mountain near the port, she saw a stretch of yellow sand, very smooth and flat, like a piece of beautiful material, and could not help wishing to carry some of it away with her as a remembrance of the country. Going ashore did not do us much good. Rather, it did harm to everyone, because for a few days we felt as if we had just put out to sea. We saluted Cape Moro and Morocco, and then turned towards Gibraltar to admire that enchanting rock. This could easily be done, as the captain steered the ship as close as possible in order to give us an opportunity of seeing everything and of photographing the scene. Here the steamer did not stop, but continued sailing quite near land, and we enjoyed for a whole day the most beautiful and charming views. We could see all the towns lying along the coast of Spain, with its gulfs, bays, mountains, chains, etc., and as there were passengers on board who knew Spain, they explained all that was of importance. They enjoyed my being so interested in everything, little realizing perhaps that for me everything was important, as my thoughts spread over all Spain. For I desire to open a house in that country, not only to do good, but to obtain religious vocations among the Spanish, which would help the work in Spanish America. Now and again I turn my thoughts towards the west coast of Africa and Morocco, for I have aspirations to go there also. I should love to fly and save the souls there, but this cannot be done during my lifetime, as there is too much to be done in the Americas. May God bless us and help us to spread our work, and thus save a great number of these good peoples, our brethren. In the meantime, let us help with our prayers. Prayer is the greatest relief of all times, especially when an amount of work has to be undertaken, and when I see that things are impossible owing to our limited means. Prayer is powerful. It fills the earth with mercy. It makes the divine clemency pass from generation to generation. Right along the course of the centuries, wonderful works have been achieved through prayer. We are the dust of the earth, and our days are like the grass. Man is here on a pilgrimage, and shortly will be no more. But the mercy and clemency obtained through the power of prayer will always produce in people generous and salutary effects. Now we are at Barcelona, and again this time the captain gave us sufficient time to go ashore to receive Holy Communion. May it please God to bless the piety of this rare and singular captain. I have been very fortunate in enjoying the kindest of attentions in all my voyages, but the insight and tact of Captain Boccacelli, who discovers in my aspirations that which acts as the hinge on which all other inspirations turn, and which gives value to the others, is beyond expression. This time he sent us in his own boat. By 7 a.m. we had reached the cathedral to go to confession and Holy Communion, rendered more fervent by the inspiring devotion of many ladies who were in the sacred edifice. When our devotions had ended, an excellent Genoese gentleman, de Ovada, knowing how we desired to see Barcelona, asked us if we would allow him to accompany us on a visit to the town. Knowing his marked respectability, I accepted the invitation. He first took us to breakfast and then conducted us in a comfortable carriage to the public gardens and various churches. The beauty of the principal places of this city does not yield one jot to that of Paris. Barcelona is a trading city, which in a few years has grown twice its original size. It is more of a cosmopolitan town than an ordinary Spanish city, for it includes in its population representatives of almost every race on the globe. But the progress achieved has brought one of the worst possible misfortunes on the town, i.e., that of evil living and irreligion. Therefore, we must open a house here in the course of time, which will become a beautiful mission and will do much good. So now, up and multiply your numbers and increase in virtue, for the harvest is great and too much for your small number. Make others follow your good example, so that I may be able to summon up courage to do a great deal of good for these souls, who will soon be lost if we do not hasten to their aid. In the meantime, make use of prayer, work with prayer, have confidence in our beloved Jesus, and always abandon yourself to his adorable Sacred Heart, and have hope, ever mistrusting yourselves and confiding in him alone. For however weak and insignificant you are, you can surely do great things. Omnia possum in ioque me confortat. Now I must leave you, hoping to see you all very soon and to rejoice at your progress in virtue. May Jesus bless you and enclose you in his most beautiful heart, wherein always I meet you. Affectionately in Jesus Christ, Mother Frances Xaveria Cabrini, August 27th, 1896. One of my least favorite sayings from the Protestant community is, quote, "My faith is about a personal relationship with Jesus," unquote. I usually hear this when talking to somebody who is mildly Christian and doesn't want to go to church on Sunday, so they just try to justify it with this phrase. What's really meant by it is that the person just wants to make religion what they want it to be, and that usually includes doing not much in the way of religious practices. There is nothing in the Bible that speaks of the faith life as being just a personal relationship with Jesus. Of course, we are meant to have a personal relationship with him, but that personal relationship should inspire us to go out and bring Christ to others and to live in such a way that actually shows that we take our faith seriously. Jesus invited others into his ministry, the apostles, his disciples, and his mother. The apostles did the same thing once they started out to spread the gospel. They taught others, trusted in people's hospitality, relied on generous converts to the faith, and had helpers all along the way. Nothing in the Christian life is ever meant to be a one-man band. And Mother Cabrini knows this. She knows it so well. It's what allows her to go somewhere, set up a school, get it on its feet, and then entrust it to the care of others. She just simply can't micromanage everything, and she doesn't try to do it all by herself. On this journey, we hear about all the help that she got from various people in Buenos Aires that helped her get the school going. She allows help from government officials and wealthy people and helpful priests. She also looks for every opportunity to spread the faith. On board this steamer, she is patient with people as they interrupt her rosary and prayer time because she sees the benefit in giving time to them. She challenges the worldly thinking of the Neapolitan man in her own words, kind and firm way. She begs help from the captain. She seeks the help and intercession of the saints. At every turn, she invites people into her life and her ministry, even if it's to ask to go ashore to be refreshed by Mass. This is what evangelization is all about. It's the invitation into the good news. What good is a personal relationship with Jesus if we don't seek to share that love with others? Many think that to evangelize, we have to stand on street corners with bullhorns or go around bugging people door to door. But no, these are not effective measures. What is most effective is inviting people into your life and letting your witness to the gospel speak loudly and boldly. And we don't need to be weird about it, but let it happen naturally and sincerely. And Mother Cabrini is a great model for us in this department. So that is all for this voyage, Catholic pilgrims. The next voyage up is from Liverpool to New York. It will be 2 years later, so the year will be 1898. I'll be ready to meet up for that voyage, and until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.